Fireworks illuminated the night sky, bursts of red, white, and blue flashing overhead. Laughter and music drifted through the air as Raul Guillen stood outside, watching the brilliant explosions. It was the 4th of July, a night meant for joy and celebration. He didn't realize someone was approaching him from behind. Holding a firework in his hands, Raul prepared to light it. Before he had the chance, a single gunshot rang out. For a brief moment, it was swallowed by the sounds of the party. But the celebration had ended. Raul was suddenly gone. At first, no one understood what had happened. When he stopped answering his phone, his family began to worry. Days passed without any sign of him. Then, as police started to investigate, they uncovered a disturbing and twisted story. It was a story driven by jealousy, revenge, and a meticulously planned crime, concealed beneath a sky bursting with fireworks. But why had Raul been chosen as the target? And who was responsible? The answers took weeks to surface, and when they finally did, they left everyone stunned. Lauren Wombles was born on March 12, 1997, in Dothan, Alabama. Her mother had worked as a stripper, and little was known about her father. What was evident, though, was that her parents' relationship was chaotic and marked by constant arguments stemming from that instability. As a result, Lauren was largely raised by her maternal grandmother and her Aunt Erin, who was only 11 years older than her. Because of the small age difference, Erin felt more like an older sister than an aunt, and the two were raised almost side by side, sharing everything with the steady support of their grandmother. Together, they formed a close, loving family. Even as a child, Lauren stood out. With her striking blonde hair, blue eyes, and natural charm, she drew attention effortlessly. Her confidence, intelligence, and laid-back personality made her well-liked by those around her. Relatives remember that from a very young age, she seemed aware of the influence her beauty and charisma gave her. She dreamed of becoming a model and living a glamorous life of fame and wealth. But as she moved into her teenage years, her demeanor began to change. Once relaxed and carefree, she grew rebellious and strong-willed, frequently skipping school and pushing back against any attempts at discipline. Lauren lived by her own rules, certain that no one could stand in her way. At 16, she had an encounter that would alter the direction of her life. While walking through the streets of Dauphin, she was approached by a man who was struck by her beauty. He was no ordinary passerby. He claimed to be an agent in the entertainment industry and told Lauren he could help her break into modeling. He offered to take photos of her and promised to connect her with opportunities. The idea thrilled Lauren, but there was one issue. She was still underage. The man didn't appear worried. He handed her his business card and told her to contact him once she turned 18. Excited, Lauren hurried home to share the news with her Aunt Erin. Instead of celebrating, Erin was deeply concerned. She cautioned Lauren not to trust the man, suspecting his offer was far from innocent. But Lauren, as stubborn as ever, ignored the warning. She didn't care what the business truly involved. Once she turned 18, she fully intended to call him, and she did. Lauren's 18th birthday was a happy celebration for her family. They went out to a well-known Applebee's, spending the evening enjoying dinner and karaoke. She was cheerful, affectionate, and full of joy, giving her loved ones no reason to think this would be the last time they would see her for a long while. By the next day, she was gone. Her family, overwhelmed with worry, searched everywhere. Although Lauren had always been rebellious, vanishing without a word was completely out of character. Fear escalated until they received a message from Lauren herself, calm and reassuring. She revealed her plans. She was flying to Las Vegas that very day with the agents she had met 2 years earlier. Her decision was final. She intended to enter the adult film industry. It was 2015, a time when the industry was thriving, generating billions of dollars annually to meet growing demand. New performers were constantly being recruited to satisfy the appetite for fresh faces. Earnings could range anywhere from $200 to $1,500 per shoot. Coming from a family that had always struggled financially, the idea of making a living based on her appearance was impossible for Lauren to ignore. When she arrived in Las Vegas, she realized she needed a new identity. something bold, memorable, and commanding. Drawn to the symbolism of gold, she wove it into her stage name, and in tribute to her mother, she finalized the persona that would define her new life. Under the name Aubrey Gold, her agency moved quickly to reinvent her image. They corrected her teeth, styled her hair, and minimized the small scars on her face. She was outfitted with designer clothes, high-end shoes, and eye-catching accessories. Fully polished, she plunged headfirst into the industry. In just 6 months, she appeared in 32 videos and worked with some of the largest studios in the business. The demands of the adult film industry were relentless, and many performers relied on substances to cope and detach from the reality of their work. Aubrey Gold was no different. She began with marijuana, but after 2 years, it no longer provided the escape she sought. She soon turned to alcohol and stronger drugs. At first, her behavior didn't seem alarming. As her addiction deepened, the studios began to notice the consequences. She showed up late to shoots, vanished into bathrooms to use drugs, and at times arrived so intoxicated she could barely stand. Filming schedules were disrupted, footage became unusable, and before long, every major studio had blacklisted her. In 2017, her agency sued her for breach of contract, ultimately cutting her off from all royalties. Even the work she had already completed would no longer bring her any income, while her agents kept full control over distribution. With no future left in the industry, Aubrey made a final decision. She paid to terminate her contract and walked away with nothing, broken and without any clear direction. She shed the Aubrey Gold persona and became Lauren Wombles again, with nowhere left to turn. She returned to her grandmother and aunt's home in Alabama. Despite everything she had been through, they welcomed her back without hesitation, determined to help her rebuild her life. Lauren found work as a waitress at a local restaurant, and it was there that she met a young man her own age. Her family described him as kind and caring, and although his identity has never been publicly revealed, one thing was clear. By the time Lauren turned 20, she was expecting his child and looking forward to the future they were planning together. The couple embraced the pregnancy with happiness and hope. For Lauren, becoming a mother was the turning point she needed. She reconnected with her family, kept working, and, most importantly, gave up drugs entirely. After a healthy pregnancy, she welcomed a baby girl into the world, naming her Alice. For a time, life seemed to be moving in the right direction. Her past in the adult film industry felt like a distant chapter. But soon, an old enemy resurfaced: her addiction. When she relapsed, concern ran high, especially from her boyfriend's mother, who doubted Lauren's ability to care for a child in her condition. She reported Lauren to Child Protective Services, and before long, custody of Alice was permanently taken from her. The loss of her daughter devastated her. Rather than fighting to regain control, she spiraled further into addiction. Believing herself to be a failure, drugs became her only refuge. Yet her story was far from over. In a small town like Dauphin, everyone knew each other's business and everyone knew Lauren. Now going by Aubrey once again, people also knew about Shane Parker, a man with a reputation as a dangerous criminal, and locals warned against any involvement with him. He claimed to have served in the military, but after returning home, he had turned to theft and worked as a hitman. Lauren became fascinated with him, captivated by his dangerous reputation. By late 2019, she finally had her opportunity, and in a twist of irony, it happened at the Dalton County Jail, where Lauren had been arrested and sentenced to 45 days for a minor offense. Shane was also behind bars at the time, though his charges were far more serious. The two began communicating through letters and messages passed via other inmates. By the time Lauren was released, she was determined to wait for him. When Shane finally got out, their relationship began immediately. Their romance was turbulent and destructive, prompting her Aunt Erin to plead with her to leave him and even forbid her from bringing him into the house. But Lauren didn't care. She and Shane spent their days together, indulging in drugs and engaging in petty crimes. Soon, the couple relocated to Graceville, just 10 miles from Dawson. There, Shane introduced Lauren to a key figure in his life, Jeremy Peters. Peters, 20 years their senior, was officially the owner of a successful construction company in Florida. However, the business was merely a front. His true enterprise was drug trafficking. A seasoned criminal, Peters had been arrested multiple times for dealing drugs at both state and federal levels, yet he consistently managed to avoid serious consequences. Shane became Peters' right-hand man, and Lauren followed suit. Spending much of her time at his house, their involvement in criminal activity was no secret. They flaunted their criminal lifestyle openly. Shane boasted about being a contract killer, claiming he could take a life for as little as $5,000. Lauren, far from being alarmed, laughed and egged him on, even saying she would join him if the chance ever arose. It was only a matter of time before those words became reality. In early 2020, Shane arrived at Jeremy's house with a man named Raul Guillen. Raul had lived a nomadic life. Born in Mexico and raised in Texas, he had a family, an ex-wife and 3 children, waiting for him back home. He worked in construction, traveling from place to place to support them. He had met Shane in the Jackson County Jail while serving time for an expired vehicle registration. Shane, jailed over a fake driver's license and unable to pay the fine, befriended him and promised that his friend Jeremy would have a job waiting for Raul once they were both released. Unaware of the danger he was stepping into, Raul accepted the offer and became part of the group, completely oblivious to the perilous world he had entered. On July 26, 2020, his story took a dark turn. After days without any contact, his family filed a missing person report with the Jackson County authorities. It was his daughter who first raised the alarm. She had always been his little princess, and Raul called her every day without fail. But weeks had passed, and not only had he stopped calling, he was also unreachable on all his phones. At just 21, his daughter was determined. No matter the cost, she would find her father. Before even involving the police, she launched her own investigation on Facebook, trying to uncover information about the people Raul had mentioned. It was there that she came across a photo of her father posing with a blonde woman from Alabama, Lauren Wombles. Lauren wasn't just any woman. She was the internationally known Aubrey Gold, and that revelation unsettled her. What was her father doing with a former adult film star? Determined to get answers, she tracked down the man her father had described as his generous benefactor. Without hesitation, she called Shane Parker. Their conversation was superficially polite, but Shane claimed he hadn't seen Raul in some time. When she asked if Raul had been staying with him, Shane's answer only heightened her fears. He told her Raul had returned to Texas, but she knew he was lying. The last time she had spoken to her father, he had mentioned that he still had work to finish in Jackson before he could come home. There was no way her father could have left so abruptly. With that realization, she went to the Jackson County authorities, reporting that her last conversation with Raul had been on July 4th. He had told her he planned to celebrate with friends that night, and she was certain those friends were Shane Parker and Lauren Wombles. Before handing the case over to the police, she shared one final, crucial detail. Her father's most prized possession, his blue Mercedes-Benz truck, was his pride and joy. She provided the license plate number and urged authorities to track it. That proved to be the first breakthrough. Days later, police located the vehicle at a repair shop. Upon seeing the state it was in, they knew something was wrong. Raul's beloved Mercedes had been stripped for parts and left in a shocking state of disrepair. Authorities quickly questioned the repair shop owner who had brought in the vehicle, and the answer came swiftly. The names on the service record were Shane Parker and Lauren Wombles. With a clear lead, investigators tracked down Lauren and Shane and brought them in for questioning. They were separated during interrogation, which visibly unnerved Lauren. Both gave suspiciously similar and vague accounts. They insisted they had last seen Raul in early July. When asked about the truck, they claimed Raul had been having problems with it and wanted to get rid of it. Shane added that he had offered to buy it for a small sum, intending to repair it as a gift for Lauren. While the police were skeptical, they had no solid evidence and were forced to release them, left with no new leads. The case went cold until August 23rd, nearly 2 months after Raul's disappearance. A man arrived at the police station requesting an urgent meeting with investigators. His name was Joseph Bells, and he had been Jeremy Peters' close friend for 25 years. He also knew Lauren Wombles, though he had never trusted Shane Parker, who, in his eyes, always gave off a menacing vibe. Joseph claimed he knew where Raul's body was buried. A few days earlier, he had been drinking with Jeremy. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, but then Jeremy abruptly stood up and told him to follow. Confused yet intrigued, Joseph obeyed, walking with him into the woods. Jeremy looked him straight in the eye and uttered two chilling words, "I trust you." Then he pointed to the ground. That's when Joseph saw it, the exact spot where Raul's body had been buried. Jeremy had asked for his help, planning to move the body to a more remote location the following day. Joseph agreed at the moment, but only to hide his fear. They arranged to meet again the next day, but once Joseph got home, panic set in. He was terrified not just for himself, but for his wife and children. He understood that getting further involved could put all of them in grave danger. Yet he also recognized what was right. Though he didn't know the full story between Raul and Jeremy, he knew he had to report everything to the police. With this new information, the case took a dramatic turn. The following day, authorities asked Joseph to lead them to the burial site. On August 24, 2020, a large-scale operation was launched. Law enforcement officers, forensic experts, analysts, and cadaver dogs descended on the location. It didn't take long for the dogs to alert to the precise spot. Joseph had noted that the area had been carefully concealed. Several trees and branches had been cut down to hide the site. As investigators began to unearth the remains, they discovered a decomposing body wrapped in a University of Florida blanket. The body had been tightly bound with layers of duct tape, and cut plastic barrels had been used to partially cover it. The remains were immediately taken to the medical examiner's office for examination. Soon, the forensic report confirmed everyone's worst fears. The body was Raul's. The autopsy revealed he had been executed with a single gunshot to the back of the head, leaving no doubt that this was a premeditated murder. Evidence pointed to 3 individuals, providing enough grounds for authorities to act. Arrest warrants were issued for Jeremy Peters and Lauren Wombles. There was no need for a warrant for Shane Parker. He was already in jail on unrelated charges. Investigators also obtained a search warrant for Jeremy's home, hoping to uncover further evidence. What they found was shocking. Inside, officers discovered a large collection of University of Florida memorabilia, the same type of blanket Raul had been wrapped in. They also found burnt fabric that appeared to match what had covered his body and multiple plastic barrels identical to those used at the burial site. Lauren was quickly tracked down at her Aunt Erin's house in Dothan, Alabama, completely unaware of what was about to happen. She was arrested on the spot and soon extradited to Florida, this time as a suspect in a murder investigation. Initially, she denied everything, lying, deflecting, and insisting she had no involvement. But it became clear that neither Lauren Wombles nor her alter ego, Aubrey Gold, were hardened criminals. They were simply 2 lost sides of the same girl, and under pressure, both eventually broke. Finally, Lauren confessed. The mastermind behind the murder was Shane Parker, and the motive was jealousy. Lauren admitted that she and Raul had been intimate, and when Shane discovered this, his fury took over. He sought revenge on the night of July 4th, 2020. Lauren, Shane, and Jeremy were drinking together when Shane revealed his plan. He wanted Raul dead. Jeremy went along, telling Shane that Raul was connected to a dangerous international gang. Whether Jeremy genuinely believed this or simply saw it as a chance to eliminate a perceived threat was unclear, but it didn't matter. The lie was enough to seal Raul's fate. In truth, Raul had no gang ties. He was an ordinary man and a hardworking father. But by the time the false accusations were made, the decision had already been set. That night, Lauren was given a task. She was to lure Raul to Jeremy's house under the guise of celebrating Independence Day. Jeremy himself would not be present. He knew better than to be around when things turned violent. Raul, completely unsuspecting, accepted the invitation and arrived in high spirits, ready to celebrate. At some point that evening, Lauren handed him fireworks. It was all part of the setup. Excited, Raul focused on the display, lighting them and marveling at the sky. He never saw Shane approaching. As Raoul's attention remained fixed on the fireworks, Shane crept up behind him and pulled the trigger. A single shot to the back of the head ended Raoul's life instantly. Lauren nearly fainted from shock. The next thing she remembered was waking up the following morning to see Shane and Jeremy loading Raoul's body into a truck. But how could investigators trust her? After all, she had already lied multiple times. To convince them, Lauren finally provided something concrete. Lauren provided a location. She revealed that the murder weapon had been cut in half and discarded in a storm drain, prompting Dawson authorities to search the area. Though initially skeptical, they soon found half of the gun exactly where she had indicated. With this damning evidence, it was clear she had been telling the truth. Prosecutors now had the foundation to build their case. Shane Parker was charged with second-degree murder. Jeremy Peters, who had orchestrated the killing under false pretenses, was also charged with second-degree murder as the primary offender. Knowing she had little chance of escaping serious consequences, Lauren agreed to a plea deal. She testified against Shane and Jeremy in exchange for a reduced sentence of 10 years, despite being terrified to speak out against Shane. During the investigation, authorities uncovered evidence that Shane had been physically, emotionally, and sexually abusive toward Lauren. For years, she had been under his control. Despite her fear, her testimony proved crucial in securing convictions. In October 2021, the verdicts were delivered. Jeremy Peters was sentenced to 20 years in a Florida state prison, while Shane Parker received life without the possibility of parole. As for Lauren, her fate had already been determined. She remains incarcerated, now 27 years old, with a scheduled release in 2031. This was a far cry from the future she had imagined at 18, when she left home chasing fame and fortune in the adult film industry. Instead, she became ensnared in a life marked by addiction, crime, and violence, and now must confront the full consequences of her choices. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.